You don't have to look too far into the past to find some interesting histories. This is the Korean dish konchiju, or corn cheese. And if you ask someone in Korea, they might tell you that it's as Western as you can get. Sweet corn, mayonnaise, onion and peppers are cooked with a generous helping of mozzarella to make the signature Korean side dish. But it doesn't sound Korean at all. How can a country with such a distinct and vibrant cuisine come up with a dish like corn cheese? Well, it certainly isn't tradition. The westernization of South Korea and pull away from Chinese and Japanese influences came with the arrival of the American-led UN forces after World War II. The Americans brought many Western food items to South Korea, notably Spam, which was adapted in the 1950s to budae stew and is still eaten today. And in the mid-1990s, Sweetcorn arrived, setting the stage in 2001 for recipes of corn cheese to pop up on the internet, inspired by its popularity in local bars. Corn cheese comes from Anju culture, side dishes meant to be eaten with alcohol, most commonly beer or the national drink Soju. But corn cheese hasn't travelled back to the West. A Korean food blogger writes, "Westerners say that it was the first time they saw the idea of removing bread from pizza." So we start off with a relatively Korean base for a dish, which is pepper and onion, and we're going to dice them all very finely. You want an equal amount of onion to pepper. So I'm mixing up the colours. We're going to have a bit of yellow and we're going to have a bit of red. Other ingredients include mayonnaise, mozzarella and rice cake. Dice one onion, half of the red pepper and half of the yellow. Add to a bowl and salt well. Mix it around in there. This is an important process to prevent excess water in the dish. Okay, so now we've salted it. We're going to let that sit there for 5 minutes while all the liquid comes out, and we are going to drain our sweet corn. We've got some drained sweet corn out over here, and we've just left it for 5 minutes as we're doing this. And we're going to drain it in a cloth. Really squeeze out all the liquid in there, because sweet corn, it's like 75-80% water. We're going to wrap this up in the cloth. And we've got a little bowl where we're going to squeeze the juice. There's about 4 or 5 tablespoons of juice in here already, and I've only about done half of it. This is exactly what you don't want in your dish. This is perfect. I must say, this is a first. I've never squeezed sweet corn in a cloth before. In a frying pan suitable for the oven, heat a tablespoon of butter, and once melted, add the sweet corn. Stir often, frying for 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, so we've got the sweet corn frying over there, and let's also drain our vegetables. As you're gonna see, you'll be surprised, there's just about as much water in this as there is in the sweet corn. Now really get in there, don't be afraid. Doesn't look like there's much coming out.
He said it'd be the same amount. Push! Push!
There we are.
Yeah, I don't think there's much coming out, but...
But there is juice. Here we go, it's coming out.
Use your shoulders, not your wrists.
Juicy.
Twist it. What are you doing, man? Jesus.
Alright, cut.
Nobody cut.
Add to the pan and mix well. So it's a fairly simple dish that's quite recent. People are happy to experiment with it, so some recipes don't have the onion and the pepper in it, or the white rice cake, but we're going for the full plate here. We're using a recipe inspired by Mang-chi, one of Korea's most famous cooking YouTubers, and it looks really cool. Okay, so we're going to slice the mozzarella, thin slices. And we've also got Korean rice cake. This has just been in the fridge to keep it fresh. Which does mean that it's gone quite hard, but that's okay. And we want about, Jesus Christ, just a couple of these. And we want to chop it up nice. Corn rice cake. And now we're going to add our mozzarella and our mayonnaise as well to the mix. Take the pan off the heat and add the mayonnaise.
So it might be the mayonnaise that makes this dish a bit weird for Western palates, and you don't mix mayonnaise with mozzarella very often in Western food, but it's actually the most necessary ingredient in here. Any Korean recipe you will find for corn cheese has the mayonnaise in it, and it's because it keeps all the ingredients together and uniform. Mayonnaise is just egg yolk and oil. Overheat it and it will separate, and that's when you lose that uniform texture. So let's add our mozzarella. Let's make it flat.
And then the rice cake on top and leave to simmer.
And we put the lid on so the steam will cook it all. We're gonna leave that for about 5 minutes.
Now transfer to the oven to get the cheese lovely and brown.
Oof, that is grilled to perfection. The cheese looks absolutely gorgeous. I can't wait to get into it. But, as any Korean will tell you, you can't get into a corn cheese without some Soju, a Korean rice wine which is commonly eaten with corn cheese here. And you could also have a beer, but I've got some Soju. You know, I've never had this before, so, and let's dip in. I haven't even tried it yet, but the tangy cheese, the buttery sweet corn, I can't wait to get into this. Mmm.
Come on, eat more.
Wow.
Put it all in your
All
mouth.
in
All in the
Tiny
mouth.
bit.
Alright, take
Eat
it.
the whole thing.
Oh.
Mmm. Mmm. That's exactly how I thought that would taste. I've had sake before and it tastes just like that. It's quite, I don't know how to describe it. It's not very nutritious, and I think they own that up. It's not meant to be nutritious. Nothing that you have with beer is meant to be nutritious. What is interesting is, the Koreans will think of this as a Western dish, and the West doesn't recognize this. I don't recognize this. To me, this tastes, well, it's familiar. It's a familiar palate, but with it all together, it's completely unfamiliar. Oh yeah. And it goes perfectly with the alcohol. It diffuses the sort of strong aftertaste that the soju has. I am really loving this. You got the tangy cheese with the creamy, buttery sweet corn. You got the crunch of the pepper and the onion, and you've also got the chew of the rice cake. It's covering every texture.
We like this one, and from us at Recipe Rewind, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. See you in 2021.
You can find all our recipes at reciperewind.com.